Welcome back everyone to the channel and thanks for joining me again. My name is Stefan and today we're exploring a comfort food easy recipe because many of you asked me also to show some easy recipes. So today, new recipe, we're exploring a sauté potatoes from the southwest of France called the pommes de terre à la landaise. These beautiful potatoes are made in a one-pot fashion and it's very easy to make at home. So what we're going to take a big pan. We're going to use some duck fat in there as the fat base, throw in some cubes of raw ham, cubes of onions, and then cubes of potatoes and saute the whole lot together. When it's nice and golden, we're going to add a little bit of parsley, a little bit of garlic in there, shake it off, put it in a bowl, and we end up with a perfect side for a chicken or another piece of fish or anything that you want. You can also eat those in front of the television. That's what I would do. Alright, so the pommes de terre landaise is a simple sauté potatoes recipe. But it's not because it's simple that we must have something that's going to be bland. Now if you look at these ingredients here, this is what we're going to be using. Every single one of them is going to bring something on the table in terms of taste. So let's start with the parsley. Nice and fresh, full of flavor. The raw ham, jambon de Bayonne, and the same as the Serrano type of ham that's kind of raw. It looks like this, full of flavor. Onion, garlic, you know them, full of flavor as well. And here, instead of butter or anything like that, of oil, we're using graisse de canard, duck fat. And that's going to give that really special flavor to the potatoes that are here. So these simple potatoes are going to be infusing in all of these beautiful ingredients. And now let's start. Now this recipe is all about cubes, right? It's a cube world. Every single piece of ingredient has to be chopped roughly into cubes. When I say every single piece, the potatoes, the ham, and the onions have to be cut in by cubes. So potatoes first. Simple trick. When you peel your potatoes, you have to reserve them in cold water like this, otherwise they will get brown. That's the first thing. After that, we have to cut them into cubes. It sounds simple, but I just wanted to show you how do we exactly cut a potato in cubes. Okay, so when you're in a culinary school, a French culinary school, what they say usually is that you need to kind of adapt yourself to the vegetables. So any vegetable you work with like this, if it's round and you want to make cubes, obviously you need to find a way to make it easy for yourself to get this into the shape you want. So of course you have to take your potato, you need to dry it, and you have to have a sharp knife. And I'm just going to show you here the guidelines on how it's done. Now, as you will see, we'll get some offcuts. And the question I always get is like, oh my God, there's some offcuts, what are we going to do with those? Now, in a restaurant, usually people don't worry about the offcuts because they can be reused in a puree, in a soup, in a stew, in a stock, or any kinds of things. So here I'm just going to show you how it is, but you can do it at home without doing the offcut technique. So the first thing is that potato is always a bit wobbly. So when you want to cut, it's not safe. So the first thing you're going to do is to have a little bit of the potato sliced off, so a tiny bit. And that's just going to kind of give that stable thing. In a school, what they want you to do is to go around the potato, you see, and to have basically these straight shapes like that. So all around the potato like this, you'll go and you will make this kind of little offcuts that will bring your potato to that shape, and even here. And then you see you have something that is kind of a rectangular shape and it stands. So once you have that, basically you can start to detail your cubes. You're going to do like medium-sized cube here. So you're going to slice your potato using the same, roughly the same size. I'm trying to see here. Okay. And basically you get the idea. You've got these thick slices. Okay, that's what you get. So from there, let's say you're going to take some slices like this, and again you're going to go along, so you're going to do the same thing, and we're going to shape that like fries basically, and then you're going to have these little bâtonnets. You're going to turn them again, and then the same thing, you're going to go, and with your fingers you're going to kind of decide how thick you want your cubes to be. Remove that one, and roughly speaking, you've got some kind of cubed potatoes. Alright, so I'm done. I've cut all my potatoes as best as I could in a home cook style, and as you can see, this is what you get. It's a mixed bag. Yeah? There's like the smaller ones, they're not straight, there's some cubes, there's some rectangles, a bit of everything. And in a professional world, they tell you, well, that's not good. Because normally you need to have only cubes, and if you have that perfect rectangle and stuff. And the reason they teach you that is only for two things. First off, there's the visual aspect of your potatoes. And if you have all the same shape, the same size, they look nice on a plate, you can dress the plate, it will look really, really nice, so very appealing. But the second thing, the reason why they teach you this is because having the same size cuts will allow you to cook everything in the same time. It's very uniformly cooked. Meaning when one cube is cooked, you know that all of the other cubes of potatoes are perfectly cooked. And this is really a thing. So when we do here, the home cooked version, if it's not perfect, it does not matter. Because if you look at this, the first thing you would see is that, well, it looks pretty much the same. And this is good enough already. And that will cook nicely and it's perfect for our dish. Next is the ham. So again, in the professional world, they want to trim the piece of meat as best they can. Now here when we're at home, there's a few things we need to know. The ham, when you get a piece of raw ham, like a big slab, you don't eat the thick skin here. So that is something that absolutely has to go. So you take your knife and you're gonna cut off that bit. For the rest, you know what, these kind of dry skins on the side here, you could remove it if they're really, really tough. In my case here, they're still kind of softish. There's a little one that's a bit tough, but it's okay. I think once it's gonna be cooked, it's gonna be enough. So I'm just gonna, cut this in slices like this, like we've done, and then make the cubes and reserve it on a dish. All done. When you finish, you should have these kind of cubes. Now for the onions, I've got a video on this, on the basic vegetable cut. I've got a course, I'll put a link in the video description, but it's basically a mirepoix of onion, and so the rough kind of cubes of onion. Now the garlic and parsley are the exception, they both have to be thinly chopped, that's it. And that's it. All my ingredients are ready, and this is what we call in French cuisine the mise en place. The reason I spend so much time explaining everything is because the mise en place is crucial. Number one, it's very important to have everything ready, and in a lot of recipe it will make your life easier, because this is the biggest task there is in that recipe. Once you've got your mise en place, the rest is all about you being in front of your pan, throwing in ingredients like a chef. And trust me, this is gonna really play in your confidence. If you're a beginner cook, having a great mise en place is gonna boost your confidence. And when you're gonna throw your ingredients and you're gonna see that everything comes together, you're gonna feel like, wow, I can really cook something good. And that's what I wanted to show you. So now we're ready to cook the potatoes. So let's go. To cook the potatoes, we're gonna start on a medium to high heat, more high than medium. And you're just gonna take all of the duck fat and pour it in, and we're gonna really start to warm up this fat first. Okay, so when your fat is chanting like this, is making this little noise, it means it's ready to be cooked. Look at that, mise en place, all of the onions, like a chef. Same thing as what you see on television. And we're gonna leave this to color a tiny bit for just 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so after a few minutes, it looks a bit bland, so let's add a bit of color in there with our raw ham. And same thing here, I'm gonna put it in and leave it like 2 or 3 minutes to sizzle a little bit, to release this nice flavor into the onion and the duck fat. Now while this is happening, I'm gonna remove the water from my potato and drain out the water and dry my potatoes in a cloth before I'm adding them in. Okay, so look at this. You can see that color in there. You can see the little brownish of the onion. That's kind of what you want. It starts to color at the bottom of the pan. We're not burning anything, but you want it's a saute kind of technique. So you want something nice and with a bit of color. So I'm gonna put half the potato first and mix them well. Now when all the potatoes are in and everything is nicely blended, you can add some black pepper in there, crushed peppercorns. And if you want a little bit of salt, I don't put salt because the ham is already quite salty. You're also gonna need to reduce the heat more to a medium and to make sure it's not gonna burn, because from now on, we're gonna basically cover this pan and leave this to cook for 15 minutes. All right, so it's been a bit less than 10 minutes, and let's have a look at these potatoes. Oh, okay. Look at that. So what's happening here? It's a bit brown at the bottom, no coloration on here, and the potato starts to be cooking. Well, I wanted to show you that particular thing. I hope that some of you watched and figured out that actually I was not using the right type of pan here to make such a recipe, especially a saute potatoes. Now you see, saute potatoes, like saute in general, is the dry heat cooking method where you cook something in a small layer of fat, like a steak. But a steak, if you want to have this nice color, you need to have the steak on its own. You don't want to have a pile of steak on top of each other and hoping the top one is going to be brown. And this is a typical example. If you stack things up like that and you hope to have a saute or coloration, it's not going to work. Things are going to be burning because of the weight of the potato, and it's going to turn some kind of mash. So for that you would need a non-stick pan and a larger surface. So what I'm going to do here, this is just the beginning, that's why I stop it in time. I'm going to change pan into a non-stick, put this flat, and then we're going to start to see the difference of what exactly happened. Alright, here we are. So I'm on the move at the moment with the channel in this Airbnb kitchen, so it's all super limited. I've found that kind of little pan. But if I want to make a saute potatoes with colors, instead of using something deep, I want to have something like that. So if you don't have the equipment, what you want really, you can do it in multiple times. I'm sure at home you can have a large pan, but the effect is really trying to have the one layer of potatoes when you cook something like that, so that the heat is really going to start to color your potatoes, and with the hand you're going to be able to do this motion and to really do that saute technique. So now I'm going to leave this to cook with my lid. Okay, it's just been 3 to 4 minutes in that new pan, which is the adequate kind of size with the one layer. Let's see what's happening. You see? Totally different. There's already little coloring coming up on the potatoes. So you're going to shake them up, mix them up, and that is the saute technique. You see these colors? That's what you want to have. So always large pan, flat surface, good amount of heat, and you move your potatoes around once in a while. Okay, that should do it. So after about 15 minutes, I should have something like that, nicely colored. And it is time to reduce your heat, and this is where we're going to add a pinch of garlic in there and a pinch of parsley. You can even turn the heat off to do that. And refrain from using a fork or anything. Try to kind of, toss by hand like that. It's not always easy. You need the right pan, but it really helps to get this color. If you really can't, take a wooden spoon, go very gentle, and that's it. We're going to leave this for like 1 minute maximum, because the garlic can't be burned, otherwise it's going to be really bitter. You want the garlic to be fresh, you want the parsley to be fresh. So as soon as you got this well blended like that, after 1 or 2 minutes, boom, that's it, we're going to serve. And now comes the best time for me on the video where I can actually taste the dish. So here are the potatoes. This is how they're supposed to look like. I didn't find a bowl, so I used a plate, but they're meant to be greasy like that, very rustic look with a little bit of parsley, a little bit of garlic. And the raw ham that's now cooked actually. So I'm just gonna, oh, I love those. Look at that. Try some. Tender. Look at that. Ooh. The potatoes. Wow, they're infused with all the flavors. I can feel the duck fat, a little bit of the, the parsley and garlic from the end and the ham, but it's really not too salty. Not too fatty, it's just a perfect nibble. My God, it's really good. Anyway, that completes the video for today. As always, if you want to drop me, questions, you have a comment, use the comment section. If you want to follow me on Instagram, #FrenchCookAcademy. You can also become a supporter on my Patreon page. Always much appreciated that. For the rest, remember the key techniques before I go. Large pan to cook the potatoes, non-stick. It has to be only one layer if you want to get that brown color. Very important. And a large amount of heat. Don't forget the lid as well. You can leave it a little bit open, and this is the key to success. I'll see you all next time. Take care all. Bye bye.